Coming up, Keir Starmer made a speech earlier this week at his Back Britain investment shindig, attended by multinationals and billionaire investors. Its aim was to address the issue that within the G7 group of advanced economies, Britain has the absolute lowest rate of investment in relation to its GDP after 14 years of Tory mismanagement, corruption and austerity. At this investment summit, Starmer's speech reeled through his greatest hits, things his Labour government are planning to do to make investment more attractive. But of all the ideas he proffered, addressing and undoing the harms of Brexit was strangely absent from the list. Stay tuned. Before I get into it, please take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already done so, give this video a like, leave a comment below and share a link on your social media. Thank you. At the Back Britain Investment Summit this week, Sir Keir Starmer promised a bonfire of red tape in a bid to get Britain building again and win over international investors. He said that he'd rip out the bureaucracy that blocks investment. But while Starmer identified red tape stopping the development of housing, roads, train lines, warehouses and data centres, he made absolutely no mention at all of the piles of paperwork caused as a direct result of Brexit for anyone dealing with customers or suppliers within the European Union. Nor did he mention the latest evidence reported in The Independent this week, suggesting that just being a member of the single market again would add 3.5% to Britain's annual GDP. If our new Prime Minister was really serious about supercharging growth, the first thing he would have done is to make an announcement about his government's commitment to rejoining the EU and set out the specific actions he was planning to enable an application for renewed membership of the bloc. Yes, I accept that to a certain extent the Labour government has changed the mood music of Brexit, of Britain's relationship with the EU, but it's pretty lame stuff. Not the kind of radical change that I hope for from a Labour government. And as Labour's low-key, timid post-Brexit reset with the bloc continues, Starmer could secure an easy win by legislating for alignment with the EU in areas like food and environmental standards and carbon taxes. It's the Tory spearheaded non-alignment in areas like these that will prove a hurdle to Britain's future application for membership. Aside from undoing Brexit though, there are some other things that the government are planning that should help increase the investment into the British economy. For example, just being the party of government that wasn't responsible for elevating Liz Truss to Prime Minister would be of huge benefit to the nation's international financial standing, reinforced by stabilising public finances. Other examples include the new government's plans to relax planning rules, their plans to secure cheap green energy, and pump priming investment from the government's new growth fund. And for all the catastrophic damage caused by Brexit, there are certain sectors of the economy that were less harmed. These include the City of London, at least so far, the biotech industry, AI and certain other service sectors. They will particularly benefit from increased foreign investment. So there are some positives arising from Labour's Back Britain initiative. But to concentrate on these positives alone is to be out of touch with reality. The reality being that the UK has lost easy access to the 450 million consumers in the EU, on top of losing free access to workers of all kinds from EU countries, which has led to severe labour shortages in sectors such as hospitality, agriculture and building services. And the reality is also that we have to accept Brexit can never be fully undone. When the UK does rejoin the EU, it'll be on far less advantageous terms. No rebates on membership fees, no special exemptions, a commitment to replace the pound with the euro, at least in principle, although such a commitment would probably not have to be attached to a real-world deadline. Ah, yelled the Brexitists. The wonderful Liz Truss secured amazing trade deals like CPTPP to make up for leaving the EU. It's a laughable claim. The free trade deals in the Pacific region are said to eventually be worth about 2% of the trade lost through Brexit, and that may not be for several decades yet. The change of Earth's Little Britain and its phobia about immigration guarantees labour and skill shortages indefinitely, which presents serious barriers to economic growth. But still no word from Starmer on Brexit. If the Labour government was serious about growth, the Back Britain Investment Summit this week would have been delayed until after a radical budget, which included the following items. 1. A pledge to start the process of applying to rejoin the EU. 2. Relaxing migration rules for workers from Europe until such time as we can rejoin the single market. 3. A pledge to align with all EU rules and regulations. And 4. Winding up the corrupt and exploitative special economic zones set up by previous Tory administrations. The impact of SEZs includes a dilution of civil and employment rights for those living or working in these zones, weaker environmental protections, and a lack of transparency on how they're governed and run. Some have even set up their own private police forces, and their impact on tax revenues for the country is significant. SEZs are basically glorified tax havens, providing little benefit to the local or wider economy, but every benefit for wealthy investors. The EU have banned most SEZs, which are considered to be state aid to industry. And the fact that Starmer's government is not only maintaining current SEZs, but are proposing to add more on a 30-year contract is deeply worrying for Britain's prospects of rejoining the EU for decades. Quite frankly, Labour's commitment to these worker-unfriendly zones is a disgrace. But perhaps the barrier of SEZs to our re-entry to the European club is purely theoretical in any case. I mean, that's certainly true if we're to believe Remain campaigner, Labour stalwart and Britain's former commissioner to the European Union, Peter Mandelson, who told a conference in Edinburgh this week, "I think it'll be very hard to persuade people in the European Union to revisit, to re-engage and start getting into another negotiation about Britain's membership of the European Union for a long time to come. I'm sorry to say that, but they've had it up to here with us." He went on to say that it'll be at least another 10 years until negotiations with the European Union can even begin. And with his knowledge and experience, I don't think I could disagree with him.
Welcome to the Brexit, sir. I'm sorry.
Oh my God.